Hi, my name's Billy. I was lucky enough to go travelling myself this year for 2 months around Southeast Asia, and what I found out while I was on my travels is that you don't get told certain advice that is vital to know. You're thrown into another country with the essential facts: make sure you don't drink too much, have fun, make friends, be careful in taxis, put on sun cream. But what should we be telling new travellers to look out for? This is the do's and don'ts of a backpacker. I decided to interview 3 different people that travelled around Southeast Asia, but in 3 complete different ways, and come up with a list of do's and don'ts that backpackers should look out for while travelling the world. First off, I spoke to
I'm 21. I went travelling at the beginning of this year for 6 months around Australia, New Zealand, Southeast Asia and America. I stayed in hostels, solely hostels in Southeast Asia. Some of them were great, some of them were not so great.
I'm Oliver, I'm 19. I went travelling around Southeast Asia for 3.5 months. I stayed majority of the time in resorts and Airbnbs. I preferred staying in resorts and Airbnbs because they're more comfortable, you got your own space, which allows you to just chill out, and you don't mind staying in the Airbnb or the resort rather than a hostel where I feel like it forces you out to go and explore. But I still got to do a lot of exploring.
I also wanted to talk to someone that travelling completely differently, rather than staying in hostels, to Airbnbs, to resorts, but someone that actually came home during the experience to see family and save money. So I decided to talk to Heather White.
Last year I took a gap year and went travelling on and off for about a year. I started travelling in September and I went away for 2 months to Israel. Then I came home for a month, went to 5 months to France, went to France for 5 months, and then came back for another month and then went to Vietnam for 3. I travelled alone exclusively, which I think is the best way to do it. And I stayed in hostels almost entirely. I stayed in a few hotels here and there, but I would definitely say hostels are the way to travel, especially if you're travelling alone, which I think is the best way to do it.
If someone came up to you now and said, I'm just about to go travelling, tell me something to do, if it's a piece of advice or a place to go, what would it be?
To wash your shoes if you step on a cockroach, because the eggs get stuck on your shoes and they'll hatch in your bag. Luckily, it didn't happen to me, but it happened to my friend that I met when I was away. She traipsed cockroaches from, I think it was the top of Vietnam to the bottom of Vietnam. She just had baby cockroaches coming out of her bag.
Some of the best advice that I was ever given wasn't how to live day to day in another country, but it was actually the places to visit.
So one of the places I visited, which was one of my favourite places I visited, was Phi Phi Islands. It's quite a famous island in Thailand, and I'd say it's proper Thailand when you visit there. It's got like the big limestone cliffs, the monkeys, the little boats, like everything you think when you think of Thailand. I visited Monkey Beach, which was amazing to see monkeys just roaming around on the beach, and they jump up on your shoulders. They're running about, they're proper cute to see. Also the beaches are really nice. We went to visit Maya Bay, which is proper scenic beach, big limestone cliffs, like traditional Thailand. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. So we went there, that was amazing. But to get in there, you have to climb over like a little net just hanging off a cliff, and they help you up, but you have to climb up there, and the sea's like really rough.
A big tip I would say is watch out for bed bugs. Don't mess with the bed bugs. I stayed a night in Easy Tiger. I was only there for one night, and it was an easy afternoon. I lay on my bed and read my book most of the day. And the next day when I woke up, my whole left-hand side of my body was covered in bites. And it ended up, I had to get everything dry cleaned, my whole bag dry cleaned. It cost me so much money and it was such an inconvenience. It was ridiculous. Everything we had to do to sort it out, because they lay eggs and they can nest in your bag for weeks.
Is there anything you would tell someone not to do or to watch out for when they go travelling?
Don't piss off monkeys by clicking in their faces, because it's rude and they will bite you. When we were on Monkey Island in Vietnam, middle-aged man didn't have his rabies shot, but that didn't matter because he decided to click in front of a monkey's face, and the monkey was getting annoyed and just bit him and broke the skin, took a chunk of his arm with him. This guy had to get rushed to hospital because he was clicking in a monkey's face. The monkey didn't like it.
Some of the do's and don'ts happen even before you leave the country, and as a traveller you want to save as much money as you can. So you have to look out for certain companies and websites that can help you with this.
So beforehand, when a lot of people go travelling, they'll go to travel companies like STA, and because that's a student travel company, it makes it sound like you're going to get cheaper fares, cheaper flights and things like that. But I think it's definitely a don't. Don't book all your stuff through them, because flights and stuff, especially I looked on a website called Skyscanner, and flights were so much cheaper on there than I could have got for even for even like a package deal, different websites like that, just have a little look around with like activities and stuff while you are traveling. It's best to speak to the locals, get the deals from them. Instead, you get it so much cheaper. You can haggle it down, you can get prices much cheaper. Like things like snorkeling and stuff, I paid like £5 when I could have, through STA, paid like 30-40 quid for a snorkeling experience, when you can pay literally £5 on the day to the person, which is so much better.
My biggest dope when travelling is do not overdose on the Imodium. Even if you think it's a good idea, even if you think you really need it, just don't do it. Take one, that's all you need. Because it was my first big bus journey, actually. My first big 12.5-hour bus journey overnight. And I got sick the night before and I couldn't wait for the bus because I was racing up north to meet a friend. And it had to be this bus I got, and I got a bad stomach. It happens, I ate something dodgy and thought it would be a good idea. Yeah, Imodium, that'll sort me out, that's fine. So I took 3 and it was the worst bus journey of my life. I was in so much pain, I was so constipated, I was lying in the corner of this bus, like wishing for it to end. When I got off the bus, I lay on the pavement outside, on the pavement outside the bus door, and taxi drivers were lying down on the floor next to me, trying to like get me to get in their cab. And my friend, thank God, met me at the bus station and like sorted me out, put me in a cab, took me to the hostel we were staying in. And so I stayed on the toilet for about an hour at least, a good hour and a quarter. So yeah, just watch out for the Imodium because it's powerful stuff.
Travelling is one of the best experiences that anyone could have. Being able to taste new food, be around different cultures, and obviously see all the amazing sights. But the biggest tip for anyone going to a foreign country or anywhere is to make sure to stay safe. There are lots of do's and don'ts that you should take on board, such as the best places to go, where to eat, not to annoy animals. But to stay safe is the biggest one for me. For most people, their travelling experience is full of laughter and joy. But for an unlucky few, this can get changed when they start to feel unsafe. This unluckily happened to Heather.
Another don't when you're travelling is don't walk home through dodgy areas on your own. You know where the dodgy areas are, don't risk it, just don't do it. One time I didn't listen to that rule and I went out with some people that I met in my hostel, and when I was coming home, I left earlier than them, so I walked home alone and wanted to get food on my way back but didn't have any cash. So I went to an ATM in this dodgy area, which was really stupid. And when I got there, I was busy taking cash out, and 4 men, seemingly Vietnamese men, walked up behind me and asked me to give them all the money that I had in my wallet, all the money that I'd just taken out. And I tried to stand up for myself, actually, because I didn't want to be mugged. Probably stupid, another thing. But probably stupid, should have just given them the money. But at that point, they pulled out a knife and held it against me. At which point, I just started crying and lost it really, sat down on the pavement where they held the knife against me again and asked me to take out all the money that I had on my cash card that I had with me. And that was I just did that and gave them all the money. Luckily it was a cash card, it wasn't my bank card, it was a travelling cash card, so there wasn't too much money on there, so I just took out everything that was on the card and gave it to them. And they left me alone in the end. And I went to the police the next day, got a police report, and all the money got refunded by my insurance company and everything. So that's fine. The story turned out okay in the end, but yeah, don't go through dodgy areas in the dark on your own.
So like I said at the beginning, I'm here to give you the list of do's and don'ts for a new traveller. This isn't a list of what you need to get beforehand or what your parents are going to tell you. This is coming from the travellers' mouths themselves. What they should have known before they left, but they didn't, and they had to find out the hard way. Luckily, you don't. So let's recap. The do's are...
So another do is to wash your shoes if you step on a cockroach.
So a do for travelling is to definitely visit the PP Islands.
So a do when you're travelling is just before you dump all your stuff on your bed, just double check it, have a look, see if you can see any bugs on there. They're normally pretty visible.
And the don'ts are...
Don't annoy monkeys.
Don't book everything beforehand, don't book everything through travel companies.
Don't take 3 Imodium at once, you only need 1.
And that's it guys, the do's and don'ts for a backpacker.